Baby, can't you see? I'm not hypnotized me. That sounds so bad. Oh my god, hold on, y'all. I literally just decided on this time, like 5 minutes ago. Um, so I was not prepared to go live, but now I am. Oh Lord, life is a hot mess. Anyways, welcome to the first rapid response office hours. So obviously, when I was doing my classes, I was doing office hours. Yes, good afternoon. I was doing office hours. Um, and as I have been, as many of you have heard me say 14 million times, trying to get things together, even though if you're always trying to get things together, are things ever together? Um, I've been trying to come back on here more often and be as helpful as I can be, especially whenever it comes to everything that's been going on. So, yes, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just do it right now. Because I was gonna pick 3 o'clock, and then I realized I'm gonna be traveling like for like 3 weeks straight shortly. So it's not gonna make sense if I have to go live at 4 when I'm on the East Coast shortly. So I figured 2:30 is nice because it'll be 3:30 on the East Coast. When I'm in California, it'll be 1:30. So I figured this would work. So this is basically similar as like my past office hours if you've been here before. Basically time for us to just like ask questions, get directives. I know for some people, like for example, I have to update the list currently for the Congress members. And I know that now that it has passed the House, people are a little bit terrified, which is valid, and kind of trying to figure out what to do next. I figured instead of me just like running around online posting some random things, it'd be easier for people to be able to come and ask questions. Like right now, my DMs are full. I need to be able to do that. And I think people are just, dealing with a lot. So scared right now. 2016 was the longest 4 years of your life. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Every single time there is like something positive, there's always a wave of regression afterwards. It's kind of one of those like push and flow, ebb and flow, whatever you want to call it, things that happens, especially when you are fighting a system where when you take 2 steps forward, everybody that doesn't like those 4 steps is going to try and push you 5 steps back. So it's kind of something that I wish people had better prepared the average person for, not that you're average, but like the regular, like people that have like regular daily lives that happen to have gotten involved in social justice, and allowed for them to understand that like that's always kind of what's going to happen. So that way there would be less of a frustration. Okay, how are you going to live as a recent social work grad who can't leave the country, just landed a job? Um, I mean, here's the thing. Where are you living right now? What state are you living in? Because the state is going to make a huge difference for a lot of folks right now. This is one of those moments where, the conversation between states' rights and like, what's going on in a state is going to have a heavy, heavy, heavy effect on people's day-to-day lives and their functioning. Yeah, you're in California. So like you're most of what's going to happen, you're probably going to be fine over because California doesn't play when it comes to the federal government not messing with their citizens. Don't forget, California is a donor state. So California donates to the federal government. There are things that come from the federal government to California. So it is, there is some reciprocal nature, but I'm pretty sure California gives more money to the federal government than vice versa. So y'all are probably going to be fine. Certain red counties in California are going to be dealing with a lot. And I think that's kind of normal whenever it comes to the red counties that are in blue states that are able to kind of survive, unfortunately. Indiana, it depends. Hold on. Because Indiana is a little bit weird. Yeah, no problem. Aha, there's an article from IndyStar. talking about how your senators just voted. Hold on. Okay, so yeah, Indiana senators are both heavily supporting it. The city might make a big difference as well. The biggest thing that people are going to have a problem with, especially if we're talking about medically, we're talking about Medicaid, we're talking about, some of the other social programs that have been cut, is going to be essentially like their day-to-day health. And day-to-day health is obviously a really big deal when we're dealing with anything. So, but if you're somebody that has been able to potentially prepare in whatever way may be possible, then you're going to have less hard of a time right now, if that makes sense. Like, some folks have been preparing by, like, for example, making sure they get all their appointments in that they can right now before Medicaid is cut, trying to have conversations with their doctors on whether or not they'll be able to come in, whether or not they'll have coverage. Some people have been trying to see if they can make sure that they have, like, a system set up within their communities to make sure that somebody will be able to check on them and take care of them, seeing if you can't go to the doctor, if you have a nurse friend nearby that will be able to kind of check in on your health. So that's kind of what it's going to come down to, unfortunately, in a state like Indiana. Arizona's scary. Yeah. Yeah, Arizona is like really weird. I don't know what to say about Arizona. Arizona is one of those states that, like, I've gone and traveled to campaign in for things, and it just irritates me. Like, I don't know who else to say it. Arizona politically is so unnecessarily complex. And I think some of that happens because of some external factors from people and the way that they engage in, like, let's just say, the messaging in Arizona. So Arizona is weird. Yeah, it's always shaky. It's one of those places where people are like, it's this or that. I'm like, it's a purple state. It's a purple state. Ideologically, it's a purple state. Politically, it's a purple state. Like, Arizona can really go one way or another. And I think a lot of times external groups exacerbate the problems in Arizona because they will, for example, like, I was sent to Arizona, right? But I'm from Texas, so I'm used to, like, non-traditional states. So I kind of knew how to engage with people in Arizona. But some of the folks that grew up in Connecticut, when they came down to campaign in Arizona, were like, and I was like, that's not how you talk to people over here. So I feel like problems can be really deeply worsened by external factors on a place like Arizona. So it's going to be weird. Gonna have to tread carefully. And especially whenever it comes to papers, the biggest thing is paying attention to where you're going. There's an app that is in California, and I don't know yet if it has come into Arizona, and it's like an ice warning app. So it tells people where ice is. So that's going to be one thing is, yeah, Phoenix and Tucson. So that's going to be the kind of thing that's going to be really helpful right now, are networks and being able to know where things are happening and where to avoid. Right now, we're going to have to just outsmart that side of people. It's all about outsmarting them. It's about preparation, and reacting quickly without reacting, como se dice, let's say, knee-jerk wise, right? Like, we don't want knee-jerk reactions, but we do want quick reactions. Oh, no problem. We want to be able to react in a way that's intelligent. You have no idea what to say with people. Okay, yeah, I'm glad. And that's why I was like, I've been kind of lazy with some of social stuff. I mean, I have been busy, but I've also been sometimes lazy. So I figured I need to start doing these so that way we can engage, because I have a buttload of DMs that I need to go through from some of y'all. Like, a buttload. So I'm going to have to go through some of those today and kind of see what questions I've missed. Because I know some folks are also, like, trying to, plan accordingly. And I think being able to have some conversations that are a little bit easier and obviously more in real time is going to help with all of that. Thank you so much to Ceci Nepal on TikTok. It's actually really funny and random because I was able to avoid, I don't speak French fluently. I'm like, my French is like, I get anxious. Like, it's just like singing or other stuff. It's something that I can probably do fine, but I get very, very anxious when I have to do it in front of other people with other people. But the spam caller the other day was irritating me, so I just started speaking French, and then he just was like, He was like, English? And I was like, no. So then he just apologized and hung up. I was like, so I'm going to practice my French with spam callers. I think that's going to be great. Um, because I don't care what spam callers think, so I don't have to be nervous. You're fine. You're fine for just joining. You're totally fine. I do need an assistant, but I can't pay somebody to do that. So I have done calls for volunteers like 40 times, and I've gotten some people that have signed up. So I've started adding them onto my email list, trying to actually, there was a volunteer app, but I can't find the name of it. I'm kind of irritated about it because I found it. I found it finally, an app that was like $5 a month that I could do volunteer stuff on that had like a really good. You okay? I gotta find it. I can't remember what it is. And so one of my followers on here, I sent it to them and they said they would check it out. So I'm hoping that person, I can't even remember whose account it was. I'm hoping that they will see it. And I DM'd it to them, but you know, I have way too many messages to try and go through and find it. Yeah, I mean, I could try and search for it, but I need to find it because it was a great app. It had encryption. I loved it. And then I had finals, I had midterms, and so like I just y'all, people probably could guess that I have about 500 tabs open on everything, and I can't go through all 500 easily, obviously, so I've lost it. Oh, thank you. I have a little volunteer thing. I think in my bio you can sign up for, so I can get you on the emails that I'm gonna start sending out Monday. No problem, no problem. I'm glad to be able to do this. And so the app, I need to find it because obviously like encryption's important. Signal is just not built for being able to do volunteer work. It's irritating. I hate it. I don't know if there are other creators that are going to be using it because a lot of creators, quite honestly, aren't doing work with volunteers like that, or they're not doing it in a way that is like a lot of people that do the work I'm doing, if they're organizers, they're either doing it in person with like dedicated volunteers and they're probably just going to use Signal, or they're not really using volunteers. And that's like no shade to anybody, but like a lot of the other creators that like I work alongside or people that have similar like work to I do, they're not really gonna like use volunteers like that. They're just not. Especially a lot of them, they get paid like a lot for some of the videos that they do, so they really don't necessarily need the volunteers. Most of what I do is work first, and that's again no shade, like no holier than thou. It's not what I'm saying, but I'll do a video whether or not I'm getting paid for it. So I'm just not gonna have the same resources at times that they do, which is fine. Oh wait, I see I missed a question. Hold on, I'm doing my little waves. I love doing my little waves. Yeah, like, and I wish they would use it. I wish, but that's just not something that they're doing. Hi, I am going to reoffer the resistance course. I haven't even emailed out certificates to people from the course because like I'm really glad that so many of y'all are so appreciative because I feel like I fuck up a lot. And so it's nice kind of being able to breathe. Gaia Morale would love to hear more about the attentive office hours, how community can help. It's basically, so when I was doing office hours for resistance work, it was about the course, but people came in with questions about literally everything. So my purpose is not only to be able to re-engage with you all, but to have a dedicated time where you know you can come on and ask me questions so that if you're DMing me and I've forgotten to respond, at least you know, okay, I can just get on her live, you know, today and ask and see, or if you need more clarification. As some of you guys know, if you message me and I've been able to message you back, I tend to send voice memos at a certain point or videos because I get tired of typing and sometimes it's just easier to explain myself that way. But yeah, just for us to be able to go over like what's going on in the world. If you want to help, like I said, you sign up for the volunteer list. If you like want to come on every single day, help boost it, that's great. I'm pretty sure I'm settling on the time of 2:30. I'm pretty sure because when I looked at my travel schedule, I'm going to be on the road for like 3 weeks straight. The only issue is we may have internet issues when we're driving across country in a couple of places, but I hopefully that won't be too bad. Fingers crossed that we'll be able to not have that issue. But flights typically we're never flying at 2:30 or 3:30 on Eastern. Like typically like everything that I do, 2:30 is like the calmest time. It's typically after I've eaten, I'm kind of here, breathing, about to start getting work done. But it could change, which is why I'm telling people pay attention. It could change. I'm gonna put it, it's on my bio on TikTok. I'm gonna try and figure out, my bio on Instagram is too full. So I'll just try and put it in my link. But yeah, the purpose is for all of those things. Hopefully that actually answered your question. But I'm gonna try and come with information that I gather throughout the day throughout the week generally. Like that app, I shared it somewhere, but I'm going to put it on my nonprofit page today or tomorrow. I just wanted to double check one more thing about it before I officially like put it on my page in an official place, just making sure who's funding it, because that's obviously always really important. But yes. Okay. Oh, some stuff came up. Okay. There we go. Defunding Planned Parenthood. It's gonna vary by state. It's definitely. Thank you, Abel. That's so sweet. I'm gonna take a screenshot of that. Abel left me a really nice comment. I appreciate it. Oh, guys, yeah, I'm live on TikTok and on Instagram and on YouTube. My Twitch is glitching, so I don't know how I'm gonna fix that today. But Abel, that's really sweet. Thank you. I try and screenshot every nice comment y'all leave me so that I can remember whenever I'm frustrated. Sure, contract support, grant writers, I'll take all of it, because there are like 4 or 5 grants right now that I have on my list to apply for, and I've saved them, so I just need to look, because I think the deadlines are late July, which is a decent amount of time. But yes, I will take all of the support, all of it, literally all of it. Yeah, if you're on Instagram and Threads, I'll post stuff on here too. So but yeah, Planned Parenthood, it's gonna be by state, because here's the thing, like when it comes to funding, I don't think people realize how many nonprofits get funding from the weirdest places. They get money from like everywhere. So and an organization like Planned Parenthood that's as established is going to have, how they say diversify your income. Planned Parenthood is a little bit problematic sometimes in the way that they treat other organizations, but because of that, they are very diversified. So it's going to be statewide. It's going to vary by state instead of being nationwide. You wouldn't be able to defund Planned Parenthood nationwide anyways. That's not possible federally. So yeah. Yes, I am on Twitch. I don't really use it. I'm trying to start using it. I get nervous. Abel, thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to keep. I've started calling myself Abel on TikTok said, thanks for being a voice of reason and not irrational vitriol. I've started calling myself a contextualist, because I feel like so many other labels just have not been able to embody what I want for people to understand, and that is that context is king. So I've started working and using the term context where people get familiar, where it's everything is about context. Like everything is about context. Every little thing that we do. So trying to bring context to every situation, I think, is more important than anything else. So thank you, April. That's very sweet. On TikTok, can we volunteer if we live in a different country? Yes. On my last volunteer list from last year, for the people I was trying to start doing volunteer stuff for, I was struggling with trying to find a time that worked. But I think I realized I'm just going to have to do, if we're going to do video meetings, I'll just have to do like a couple in the week at just 2 really different times for people that live in different time zones. But yeah, I had some people from Australia on the list, a couple people from the UK, one person from Kenya. So if those people are still interested, then yeah, I'll still have international people. So no matter where you are, because help is help. And plus, I like having international views. I think it's always really helpful, especially to see what's going on in other countries and their responses to the US, because I have family in other countries. But it's just always a good thing to hear. Still trying to understand funding, because they don't teach us this. Just on a new job, heavily research their funding to see if I'm going to be okay. Yeah, funding is it's really, really weird. Like you have to, when it comes to funding, you have to look at the difference between like, guaranteed grants, right? Things that have contracts, but also looking in the contracts and seeing if there's a contingency that says if we lose this, then we won't be able to fund this. You have to be able to look at, like the timing, because some contracts will be multi-year, some contracts will be single year, some contracts will just be, as we get money, we'll give it to you if we can. And so there are a lot of different ways that like nonprofits and funding pay together. Thank you. You have a good day too, love. Thank you so much for helping push this in TikTok. Thank you. And so you'll have to look at that. But a lot of times when it comes to hiring, to be quite honest, some of the nonprofits can be really good about solidifying jobs unless federally there's an issue. So federal funding is really going to be your biggest problem right now, because the reason why I started sharing the job postings, those of you on TikTok may not have seen it because I don't really have a way to share it on TikTok. And TikTok's been pissing me off. They've been not showing my videos anywhere. So I've just been kind of irritated with TikTok. Not with you all on TikTok, but with this. Yes, congrats on the new job, Vanna. But the reason why I started sharing it is because people kind of started boogeymaning, being like, funding is gone. There has been funding that's been reduced, but a lot of funding has just shifted names, which is part of the reason why naming, I want to do a video on this, but I need to find the best way to express it. When they say no more DEI, you don't have to call it DEI, right? Like, you don't have to call it diversity. You just call it funding. Some of these organizations on college campuses, I don't remember, I think it's Texas that banned like any like LGBT oriented groups from being on a campus. And my first thought was just call it America First. Call it something, call it the Straight Society, call it something so ridiculous, and then just do what you want. Like, if it's not, if what you're doing is not in writing against what they're saying, they're going to have a hard time proving that you're not like they're going to have a hard time proving that you're not, going against their rules. So when you just change the names of things, you can do a lot. So there are a lot of diversity grants that aren't diversity grants anymore. They're just grants, but they're still going to basically do what they were doing before. Like, people were mad at Amazon being like, he got rid of the diversity program. He literally just changed part of the name. That was it. Not to praise Bezos. We're not praising Bezos at all. But like, they just changed the name. So a lot of things have just shifted terms, which is why, if the economy and everything was already crashing in the way that people have been saying it's crashing, there would not be as many job listings as I've seen, especially for small organizations and other types of organizations in the movement space right now. That's why when I was going through and I saw these job listings, I was like, they have guaranteed money right now. These organizations aren't stupid. They're not going to hire people right now if they know they're going to have to let them go in 6 months. So the fact that there are this many people that are in the movement space hiring says that there is still money coming into this. And there are a lot of, not a lot of billionaires, but there are a few billionaires, millionaires, multimillionaires that hate what's going on, and they are funding some of these organizations. I worked for one of those organizations prior that had all that weird money. And like, we had a couple of multimillionaires that were just like, yeah, I just hate, what this Republican or whatever is doing. So like, I'm just going to throw some money at you. So that money is still there. It's just depending on where it's coming from. But yeah, the biggest thing is like, I want people to let go of the names of things sometimes, because sometimes it's important, but sometimes it's like, let it go, like I said, I really like, if I could reach out to some of the LGBTQ groups on these college campuses that are now going to be banned, I'm like, name yourself America First and see what happens. Name yourself the America First Society, and then just all be gay people. What are they going to do? Just don't put gay in the name, but do what you're going to do anyways. Have a parade, call it the straight parade. Let it have rainbows everywhere. What are they going to do? Like, I think we really have to return to a certain level of like strategic pettiness. Okay, let me screenshot that. Yeah, I'm gonna try and make sure I can articulate it as good as possible, as well as possible. Because yeah, I mean, like, it's just names of things are always loopholes. Like, that's always been the biggest problem, is people get so stuck on the names. And I'm like, you could actually call things a lot of whatever you want, and you would actually be fine. Like, it actually works out really well. Because again, they have to prove that what you're doing wrong. Like, if you look at some of the only arguments that they've really gotten around some of that with was like, what's it called, when it came to affirmative action, where they were like, oh, you're admitting this many more people, right? It's hard to get around that necessarily, right? You can not call it affirmative action, but if you're still admitting this many students, they might still mess with you. But that's whenever we're talking about admissions. All the other stuff is like hiring. They're not telling people you're hiring too many Black or Asian people. They're not saying that. They're just saying that you have a program dedicated for them. But the federal government is not actually monitoring the actual hiring numbers. They're just monitoring the terms. So some stuff is really just fickle terminology, and we have to just change the terminology. Yeah, We the People. You could literally call yourself the We the People organization and then have drag queens everywhere. And don't call them drag queens. Call them something else. Call them straight models. Like, just literally call them something else and watch what they do. Because then they have to, the thing about it is, when it's a terminology based problem, an ideological issue, like, they have to prove what the problem is. So if you're calling yourself the Straight Society, you're not using the term gay, right? And you could just call yourself the Straights, which is, I think that's hilarious. I think that would be really funny also. I just think it'd be really funny. Like, when I ran some of the organizations I did in college and high school, that would have been hilarious. But then they have to be like, well, and then you have to be like, well, what's wrong? We're calling ourselves a Straight Society. We're calling ourselves America First. And they'd have to be like, it's just wrong. Why is it wrong? Are we not Americans? Like, some of the discourse that's been going on online, yes, please add it to the note. We're learning hard how to get around stuff as a person, assertive, no BS. Yeah, you just honestly, if we can convince ourselves, if we can remind ourselves that what we're doing is important, and also just like not get drowned in by some of the chaos, then we can really be so successful. Like really so successful. Like malicious compliance really needs to become a really important part of all the work we do. And I don't think enough people really understand that the history, and I never got to this in the course for resistance because that last 2 weeks I was supposed to finish hosting the classes, I got really sick, and then my finals for my grad school took me out. But like the malicious compliance history, I can try and make this live rewatchable. I'll make it rewatchable on YouTube because I'm supposed to be in some YouTube program, but they're supposed to have like a creator program, but they don't do anything for us, literally anything. But I haven't posted on YouTube in a minute. So in order to fulfill my requirement, it'll be rewatchable on my YouTube. And my YouTube is linked in my bio. All of it's the same username. I refuse to use a different username for something. If I have to, I just literally won't use whatever it is because I hate the idea of having to look for different usernames. It infuriates me. Plus, people started stealing my username. Nobody ever used the username Abiola the way I spell it because it's the phonetic pronunciation of my name. Nobody ever, literally, like, people like, I didn't do this thing. Nobody ever had my spelling. And then all of a sudden after I had my spelling, and then I had a couple of fake accounts pop up on TikTok, especially impersonating me, all of a sudden, like my username is not available on Snapchat and stuff. I'm like, you never spell your name out phonetically this way. This is not even the correct phonetic spelling. It's just how I decided to phonetically define it, which is like, I messaged the girl on Snapchat and I'm like, please give me my username back. Like literally Abiola, like all the different, like so many things. I could get at the Abiola or no, the Abiola was taken. So I had Meet Abiola. That's a professional page I haven't posted on in like 3 years. But like nobody used Abiola spelled this way. So I was like, perfect. It's cute. I'm done. I was like, that's my username from now on. Cause my username before was like crazy chick 112 from when I was in like high school or middle school. And but now all of a sudden Abiola is popping up on stuff. Like you copycats. And they're all Nigerians. I'm like, you definitely are copycats. Like, you didn't think of this. Famous, scary. I am not famous. But I do have like 3 impersonation accounts on TikTok. There might be more now. Thank you. Grad school is... I'm actually like really not prepared for the fall semester. Like, just kind of like... yes. The high school Tumblr name. It was Crazy Chick 112. Actually, on Tumblr, it was Defiant Rich Girl. Because like I grew up like very, very privileged. And so I wanted to do work that like, pushed against that. And then I'm self-funded now and everything changed. Anyways. Yeah. I don't really have anything else to say now. Oh, it's fine. Yeah, it's like 3 TikTok pages. There's 2 of them that I've reported, and TikTok said that there's no violation, which absolutely cracks me up. Like TikTok deliberately said there is no violation here. I'm like, okay, TikTok, sure, there's no violation. Why not? They're reposting everything I post. And one of them, it just posts like everything in one day from my videos. I blocked it, and it's still doing it. Yeah, grad school's just been kind of kicking my ass. It's not even like grad school. It's like the little assignments, when I did grad school, when I did grad classes in undergrad, I was a freshman in grad classes, sophomore in grad classes. Like I was very advanced. I got to do really cool grad classes, but I guess because I'm not doing a philosophy-based grad program right now, maybe that's the problem. But also I did legal grad classes too. And it was just like, I did grad classes in the law school as a junior. But these ones, it's too much, like, it's too much tiny stuff that's stressing me out. They'll be like, hey, you need to comment on this person's comment. That pisses me off. Why do I need to comment on their comment? What if I don't have anything good to say? Like, the type of philosophy I did in college was very much like, we don't waste time or energy saying things we don't need to say. We're very focused with our word. Like one of my papers for the grad class that I took couldn't be more than like 700 words. And I had to explain like this type of epistemology in like 700 words. That was it. You couldn't go over. So I have been trained to not say more than I need to say. So now you're telling me I have to have 200 words about this person's like that's dumb. I hate it. So that's where I've been struggling with grad school. That's why I've done poorly, is because I don't like the idea of doing that, responding to a response. But anyways, I've been told that's collaboration. I have to learn how to be more collaborative in an academic setting. Because what are your tips for not freaking out over the wave of social media hate right now? Seeing a lot of side blaming and stress without real solutions and moving forward. I'm not great at this. I have indeed crashed out on the internet. Sorry, the question for those of you on YouTube and TikTok is, what are your tips for not freaking out over the wave of social media hate right now? I'm seeing a lot of side blaming and stress without real solutions for moving forward. What I am trying to do now, especially as somebody with a larger platform who has beefed with other accounts. I've also beefed with larger accounts. I've beefed with accounts larger than mine by accident because I said something that they found offensive. And I think that's just a neurodivergent thing. Even though what I said wasn't offensive, it was just like statement of fact. I've started trying to basically say what I need to say, make it very clear, and try and not get angry, which is not easy. But I think trying to differentiate when somebody is arguing with you to argue versus when somebody might literally not be understanding you. Like there's 3 different sections. So they'll say there's somebody arguing just to argue, right? This person's never going to understand you. They're assholes. They don't care. They're just arguing just to argue. Then there's somebody right here that's arguing because they're kind of stressed out and they're taking it on the wrong person and they really don't know what they're doing, right? Then there's the person over here that is just like, I don't even know what you call them. Like they're misunderstanding you. You're both on the wrong side, or you're both on the same side, but they literally just are misunderstanding you because they're also hurt, if that makes sense. There's probably like 5 other different archetypes, but those are the main 3. The person who's just arguing just to argue, right now, if I can't turn it into a quick little quippy comeback that's going to make me laugh, I just block them. All right, I block them. Or if I'm really angry, then I will try and do research about them and email their jobs. I'm not saying you should do this. It's only when I see people, especially in certain types of jobs. Like there was a lady who, she actually has somebody who's a copycat of her. So it wasn't the right person. And I'm glad that somebody else checked me on it and I was able to double check and make sure I didn't send an email to the school. There's a lady with the exact same name from the exact same place who looks like she's close friends with the lady that was spewing racist nonsense online. And that lady works at, it's like, I think Loyola, Maryland or something. And it's crazy because I'm like, these ladies are the same age, same year, and it looks like they're in pictures together, but it's not the same person. But when I get mad, I do research on them. That's not always great because sometimes you end up wasting time. If it's a person that very clearly has their face, their name, and their visibility out, you can do research on them and email their jobs. But again, sometimes I think that's less effective than other things that we could be doing. So sometimes what I will also do is revenge research, where it's not really about them. Maybe I shouldn't call it revenge research, but I will try and just like make sure that I have counterpoints to whatever it is that they're saying that's pissing me off. Make sure that I have like, information I can share on why what they're saying.
Your mom said to find a chair. She's not happy. Some chair.
What chair?
I don't know, some chair that she's about to leave.
I don't have her chair.
She just said I should come check.
Sorry, my dad was telling me. I don't. She can borrow the chair I bought if it's that serious.
She's not gonna take that.
Tell her just take my chair. So that's one option. And then your second option, when it comes to the middle person who's kind of mad and kind of misunderstanding you, if you have the patience, talk to them. Sometimes what I am learning is easy to kind of say is, hey, I think we're misunderstanding each other and I don't want to cause you more harm, but what you're saying is offensive for XYZ reasons. And I understand that you're dealing with a lot. I have tried to approach it that way and I've actually had quite a few. What chair? I didn't take it. I bought my own. It has the Texas state flag on it, remember? Just take my Texas chair. Do you want me to get my Texas chair? Okay, hold on, you guys. Oops. Okay, here, Mom. I'm going to get it. You have to talk to people for 2 minutes while I go get you my chair. Okay, y'all, hold on. We're going on a miniature adventure. We're going on a miniature. We're going on an adventure. I'm just gonna put y'all here in front of Gunner for a second. Give me 2 seconds.
What time is the golf show going to proceed?
But if I'm set by 2:30 to set up, I don't have a whole lot to set up this time. You are so funny. Okay, I put my chair in the car. You have my chair now. We must have 3 tables because. Okay. I hope you all enjoyed. Ooh, is that a spider? I hope you all enjoyed watching Gunner sleep. Yes, unofficial tour. Okay, it's in the car. Do you need anything else? Do you need anything else? Okay. Come on, big boy. Good boy. What? I know. I have to leave now. Daddy's here for you. Oh, Daddy's here. Come here, depressed dog. Come on, Daddy. I don't think he wants his attention. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Oh, I'm out of breath. Okay. I do live with my parents. A reminder. And I do run out of breath easily right now. Ooh, okay. Oh, that's what I was saying. Okay, so number 2 is that person. So I've learned being able to tell them, hey, even what I've learned throughout my life is it will seem like people don't understand you or that they're not listening. And a lot of time it will seep through. Okay, drive safe. It will seep through and eventually they will hear you, even if it doesn't seem like they'll hear you. And you may never, ever get to see the result of it. But I see people come around years later and I know I was the one that said something to them and they're doing the work that emphasizes that thing. But the number 2, like being able to say, hey, we're not going to understand each other, but I hope you understand I don't mean harm and I don't think you mean harm. I think that does a lot of good. It can be emotionally exhausting, which is why I think it's okay sometimes to cut off the conversation and say, hey, we're trying, but this is not productive right now. It's not producing anything except for more harm and moving forward. You can also try and get the person to understand. I have a problem with getting people to understand things. So unfortunately, I spend a lot of energy trying to get people to understand things. And even if it ends up being a good conclusion, I probably waste a lot of precious energy doing that because I just really want for people to understand things. It's not great, but it's something I'm working on. Oh. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll bring it upstairs. Thank you very much. Misunderstandings is kind of refused to understand. Yeah, misunderstandings are irritating. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Loving your worth is so much. Respecting your own worth. Heating up leftovers. Yeah, but the good thing, so when it comes to Project 2025, unofficial home tour, when it comes to Project 2025, one of the biggest things that really pissed me off when people were talking about it, especially the people who, again, were like, Project 2025. It wasn't that Project 2025 isn't even serious, but I tried to explain to them 2 different things, which is number 1, Project 2025 is a roadmap. So when people keep being shocked, they did this. I'm like, they told you they were going to do this. The thing about the Trump administration that makes it very different than like a Reagan administration isn't that they cause different types of harm, because they both cause harm, but Reagan caused more harm because Reagan didn't tell you what he was doing, right? Reagan would be like, oh, we're gonna like, America first. I think that was his slogan, wasn't it? Like America first, or God, you're shedding. American first, or whatever. And he would be like, oh, like the same thing I was saying, right? He'd call it one thing, but he'd be doing another. Trump is like, we're deporting all the Mexicans. Like, they're telling you exactly what they're doing, and I think people aren't using that to their advantage enough because they're telling you the bigotry, right? Like most of what they're saying. A lady today was like, we can fill up the alligator Alcatraz with 65 million people. I think that's the exact number of like Hispanic, like, the public number of Hispanic people in the US or something. They're telling you what they're doing, which means that you already know what they're going to do. So you have a better opportunity to counteract it than you have with any other administration. Reagan was not going to tell you what he was going to do. He was going to call it something else. He was going to lie. This whole Project 2025 is a roadmap. It has always been a very clear understanding of what they were going to do, but also something that I got, again, I went negatively viral to two mega accounts on TikTok that clipped my video out of context. And even the clipped part still didn't say what they were trying to say I said. But anyways, I said, where are all the people that have been fear-mongering about Project 2025? Because some of those same people, I'd said before, there were aspects of Project 2025 that have always been in existence. I have told people this. There are aspects of Project 2025 that Democrats have put across, right? Project 2025 is not a Republican thing, right? It's a white supremacy thing. We can call it conservative, but, whatever you want to call it. Project 2025, parts of it are already in effect. They're just trying to make it national. Like when people are like, what if they ban this administration? They did that in certain states already. Certain states don't have certain departments that they should have. What about, like, my little brother was panicked last year. He was like, they're going to give cops immunity. Cops have had immunity. They only had their immunity revoked in I think it's like 1986 or something, because the Supreme Court finally realized like, oh, we shouldn't have this way. So let's change it. So they already had national immunity. Like cops have had immunity. There are still different like federal protections for police officers that kill people. So when he was like police immunity, it's not new. And there are Democratic governors and things who have put that in place. And again, this is not to be like the Democratic Party is evil. I hate the Democratic Party. People should know this about me. But I hate all parties. But I also recognize the fact that Democrats are sometimes less likely to cause certain kinds of harm. It doesn't mean they're not going to cause the harm, right? Like Democrats very likely aren't going to and again, this is one of those context things where people have to listen to everything you're saying before they take one part of it and run off and get mad. Like a Democrat, if you had like a Democratic governor, right, and somebody gets killed by the police, they're not likely to be like, he deserved it. But they also may not prosecute him either. The Republican, governor will be like, yeah, he deserved it, his monkey ass. Like, so it's one of them. You can argue it's less harm, but also sometimes it's still the same harm, just wrapped up in a prettier package. But that also doesn't mean that elections are useless. And that's the frustrating balance that I think we've had such a struggle with in the United States, is there are some people that have been like, oh, the Democrats are the same, so don't vote. And I'm like, no. I'm not mad at people who don't vote for political reasons. I understand it, and I don't think you should ever force someone to vote. I think that there is a lot going on, and I think it's very valid to have frustration when it comes to voting. But saying that not voting makes you better, I don't agree with that either. I'm not going to shame you for not voting. I refuse to blame people who didn't vote for anything that's going on. I think that's stupid, and I think it's childish, and I think it's disrespectful to the struggle that's happening. But I also don't like people who call somebody demonic for voting for the Democratic Party. I don't think that's okay either. Like there's a balance here. But I also can't stand Democrats that again blame non-voters, because it's like, the Democratic Party is fucked up a lot. To a certain level, they didn't earn the election, but at the same time, Kamala Harris is a Black woman, and there are people that were never going to vote for a Black woman, even if she did everything perfect. These are all truths that we can have at the same time. I don't think she lost the election because she's a Black woman, but I also don't know if I personally could give a reason why she lost the election, because I think it's like 40 things at play. It's like 40 things at once, and I think it's reductive to say it's just this or just that. It's like all of it. We can't ignore the anti-Blackness, but we also can't ignore the incompetence of the Democratic Party. But also we can't blame one person for that whenever the whole party has been fucking annoying forever. The whole party been annoying forever. Okay, I can't. You're being very unhelpful. You want me to hold you? I can't hold you like this. Sorry, y'all. My allergy. Sometimes I have to. I don't even remember what part of the original question is, but I hope this kind of has helped. Oh, we were talking about Project 2025, but there are just a lot of little things that I need for people to really look at and think about more, because when we don't, we end up in a situation to where even on the left side, oh, there was a question about this. Even on the left side, you're still doing the exact same thing that the right side is doing. You're just doing it underneath the guise of freedom, but you're doing the same thing. This is why I have beef with literally everybody. Like, I don't call myself a leftist. I've had a lot of people like, you're not a leftist. I never called myself a leftist. I believe in radical liberation. I believe in, you know, the dismantling of systems. I do believe in violence as a legitimate form of response to oppression. You know, like I have a million feelings, but I don't like any of the labels because I think they all become annoying to me. It doesn't mean they're bad for people to have. I just don't like them. Okay, question on here said, why is the evolution of the leftist political party different in Europe versus the US? Oh, baby. The shortest, in the simplest terms, and it might be borderline reductive, but in the simplest terms, respectability politics. Again, sorry, the question was, why is the evolution of the leftist political party different in Europe versus the US? Respectability politics. Europe has always approached things in a way that is fake nice. And that's not me saying Europeans are bad. I do have a British daddy. I am a British citizen as well. But if you notice, the way that we approach a lot of things in America can be very freedom, right? It's very loud. It's very, you know, like, grrr. It's a lot of it is very unhinged. Maybe unhinged, you know, whereas, you know, the Brits are always thought to be more of like, and I know Europe is not Britain, but whatever, but we're referring to the British politics really leads a lot of European politics. And I think a lot of people don't want to admit that, but that's just what we're going to say. Crass, yes. You know, when we think of like Europe in general, we think of professional, you know, clean streets and professional people and like all of these other things. That's kind of what it's been classified as. And that's the way, unfortunately, that politically things evolve too. So the US is always going to extremes a lot easier because we're just louder by nature. Culturally, the US comes out of being a rebellious child of England, you know? Like the US is literally like, it's literally like the what do I say? I always say that Britain is the defunct baby daddy of the US. Because the whole origin of the US is rebellion. The origin of Europe is not the same. So that affects our political systems. And when you have something that's more extreme in nature, then it's always going to look a little bit different. And unfortunately, because it's always extreme, it's always going way one way and way another, which can make it seem like we have a lot more regressions because we're always going from here to here, from here to here. Whereas in Europe, typically you're going from here to here, from here to here, from here to here. Right? Like you can have some things that are over here. We've seen extremism take a lot deeper roots in Europe, which has been kind of scary, especially when it comes to like specifically the British and like the Norwegian governments, like very scary in the way their political systems have been going like here. But still, even within that, right? Like you're not going to see a European politician able to call somebody like a slur and like not have as much backlash as you would here. People can call somebody a slur here and still be able to function, whereas there, it's not going to be as acceptable. It can still happen, but it's just, you know, so I hope that kind of makes sense. It's the reason why things have been so different here. And on top of that, like Europe and the very existence of European politics, European everything, is still also going to be a lot more accountable to the places around it. Whereas the US is kind of like, fuck everybody, right? The US is like, we're accountable to nobody. Europe is accountable to somebody else. That's why, you know, if you guys are familiar with Brexit was a hot mess. And the reason why it even was able to like, even though the implications are still very much real, but the reason why Brexit even became like something that had pushback was because it was going to affect all the countries that were close to it. The US is not really touching that many countries, right? Like if we're looking geographically, right, we're touching Canada, right? You know, we got, you know, the United States of America, you have, you know, North America, South America, and even then we're just barely touching them through this little thing. So we're literally not as responsible to other countries, whereas you're looking at Europe and all the countries are fucking touching, right? Like all the borders. So there's a lot more of a serious implication for what happens there than here. I mean, it's still, sorry, this lady is calling me. She knows to not call me. Sorry, this is a lady I've worked with on the thinking, and she just be calling me. She's so irritating sometimes. I'd be telling her, do not call me randomly throughout the day. I don't like phone calls. But also she's just calling me so I'll buy something from her. Sorry, she's one of our wholesale reps. But But yeah, I hope that kind of explains it. Does that explain it? So I realized this didn't go. This thing, the comments weren't loading. Europe is like bossing say yes. Yes. So the way we approach things, it's just very different. And I feel like we don't ever talk enough about like how the roots of a country really do just change everything about the country. Why we got to where we got. Why we got to where we got to. Shut up, Siri. Thank you. It's affected by this a lot. You're being very dramatic. Hold on. I see that my screen is dirty, my camera's dirty, and it's gonna actually make me violent if I don't clean it. There we go. Much better. Does that make sense? We got like 5 more minutes on here, folks. Sometimes I'll be on here for an hour and a half. I think an hour is a good like dedicated time to where I know I can be on here and I won't quit. Because I really want to commit to this and do it really well. I want to not disappoint myself. I don't want to disappoint you guys. But sometimes we're going to go over, especially if I'm really bored that day. We're going to go over. We're going to be here for a while. Why are you doing the most? Okay, thank you. I think you're hot, which if you're hot, then you need to get down. I can't hold you because I have body heat. So would you like to go on the floor? See, now he's going to pretend like he doesn't hear me. Would you like to go on the floor? That's not an answer at all. I'm going to put you down, okay? You're hot. I'm putting you down. Thank you. Oh, Jesus, now I got to change. I'm not picking you back up. Here, I don't even think I have a bowl up here right now. So I can't even give you any water. I'll get you some water in a minute. You can actually just go downstairs and get it yourself. We went hard against the left in the U.S. Yeah, it's just very weird. Yes, I'm trying to go live Monday through Friday at 2. This is Echo. That's the dog's name. This is the dog that barked at the frog and went viral. I'm trying to go live from Monday to Friday at 2:30 Central, which is 3:30 Eastern, which is 2:30 would be 12:30 for the West Coast. So yeah. But yeah, this dog's name is Echo. It's not spelled Echo like ECHO. It's actually spelled EKO because I wanted to do a play on our Nigerian heritage and name him after a region in Nigeria while also sounding like Echo, because if you bark at him, he barks back. Also, he looks exactly like his dad, except he's a little bit cuter, so he's literally a copycat. Yeah, he needs some water and he's not listening. You're sitting up here panting, staring at me. You need to go downstairs and drink some water. You're very cute. We're about to go out of town for like 3 weeks straight, and I'm trying really hard not to have an emotional breakdown about it. Because I love my dogs. I love them. And then, I have Butterball with me because that's my working dog. So Butterball's always with me whenever I travel. But everybody else has to stay here. And I'm like, dang, 3 weeks also means I can't film videos outside in the yard. We'll be traveling some places where I can find a pretty place. But I like being in the yard with the dogs. So I'm a bit nervous. I'm a little nervous. Yes, exactly right, Echo. I'm not going to see you for like 3 weeks. I have to post my schedule in case there are people in the US that do want to, say hi or something. I'll be in Ohio, Atlanta, per usual. I'm always in Atlanta. What state are we going to? You're not going, which makes me sad. I think I'm going to Alabama and maybe Philadelphia. No, Philadelphia was last year, but I think I'll be in Philadelphia later in the year for an event. We shall see. I've been in LA a bunch, but I have not been in LA in a couple weeks, but I was in LA a bunch in the last year. I'll be back in LA though at some point in the next few months because I got to visit my family, especially one of my aunties. She's been going through it, so I have to start visiting her more. Is your dog Caribbean? He might be Caribbean. He might be. honestly, I don't really know what to think of him. I feel like he's a light-skinned child who has like the longest, curliest hair and acts out because of it, whereas his dad has like a Jerry curl. His mom acts like an AKA a lot, so I don't really know. He might be Caribbean in spirit, though. These dogs are all very weird. Like, very, very weird. Yeah, I like being in the yard with the dogs. And I like not having to talk to people when I go outside. You know, like sometimes when I'm social, when I'm in a social mood, I'm very social. Like, very social. But when I'm like, the idea of going outside and having to talk to other human beings every day is just too much for me. You know, like sometimes, especially when nobody's here and I get to have the whole house to myself and both my parents are gone somewhere and I get to like house sit. I can wake up, I don't have to talk to anybody except for the dogs, go outside, run around with them. Like the idea of stepping outside of your door and immediately there's people, I hate it. Especially I do weird shit sometimes. All right. Like I just do. Like I've had one hand done for the last week and it wasn't an accident. I just didn't trust these new nails I was doing. So I was like, I'm not gonna do both hands and then have them get ruined. And then I just didn't want to do the other hand. So this is have and people have been looking all week being like, and I'm like, yeah, this is on purpose. I'm lazy and I don't want to do the other hand. And then after I did this, I realized I hate this print because I don't want to, you know, I tried doing my acrylics 2 weeks ago and they all broke off in a week. So I was like, okay, we're about to be traveling. I need reliable nails. So I'm doing the Gel X and then painting over it. But it came with these little flowers, but I hate the flowers. I feel like they look stupid now. So instead of just ordering the other nails, I just did nothing. And this doesn't embarrass me. It probably should, but it doesn't. I went all sorts of fancy places in the last week and I looked just like this. And I don't care. Okay. So I'll be on tomorrow. I think this is going to be great. I might be a few minutes late, but if you know me, you should already know that I'd be late sometimes. But I will try and always be on. That's my goal. But as you can see, sometimes things be happening in the house. How many nails? I've gotten through the airport with this whole hand. Twice. There and back. And I've been violent with this hand. I was trying to be cutesy with it before, and then I got tired, so I didn't care. And honestly, it's still pretty sturdy. Granted, I'd like to do them longer. I think having them this short, maybe part of the reason why they didn't break as easily, but I like long nails, so I would like to have my longer nails and then maybe just keep my thumb short. But this is working pretty well. If you remind me, this is the Kiss UV gel nail kit. Yeah. So yeah, it's worked so far. No problem. Thank y'all. Okay, yeah, I'm about to share this on YouTube. All I have to do is like click a little button and you'll be able to find it on there. So yeah, y'all be easy. I'm going to go mail out this order to a person that I had a panic attack about mailing out. So it's 2 weeks late. I'm going to hope that they're not mad. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Mwah! All the kisses. Y'all are friggin' awesome. Bye.